welcome to perhaps the most anticipated video of 2025. Are you ready for it? Today, the video is my top 5 flowers from my 2025 flower season. I did a video for 2024 about this, which is my most watched video on my whole channel. And it was like the second YouTube video I ever created. So go back and watch that. Just realized how far I've come. If you want to know the top 5 flowers for my flower farm in 2025, you're in for a treat. Let's dive right in. First of all, just to give you a little bit of context, don't worry, the goats are fine. They're just annoyed that there's snow on the ground, not green grass, and they can see me. So just to give you a little bit of context, I farm in West Michigan, in Durham, Michigan, in zone 6A. I sell almost exclusively to florists. 99.9% of all my sales are direct to florists, or I also sold into a collective in Chicago, but the majority of my sales are me directly from my farm to florist shops. So that's how these flowers were sold. And if you actually want to know more about that, I have a course all about selling flowers to florists. So if you're curious how to do that, I have like a step-by-step roadmap that's going to lead you directly, from point A to point B and everything in between and help you get there. Okay, so these are not direct to consumer numbers. And this is different from my 2024 sales because my farm has changed, because in August of 2024, we put up our first high tunnel. So there's a few crops on this list that I have never grown before. So that's pretty exciting. Let's see. Oh, also rankings are by revenue, not stem count. So keep that in mind. This is total sales by dollars, not by stem count. Also, there might be something that's missing, or you're kind of curious, oh, why isn't this on her list? So just know I don't grow everything. So maybe if something is missing from the list, I either don't grow it or it doesn't grow well in my climate, or something like that. I also sell to a lot of designer and event florists. So my flowers are pointed in that direction of being a good farm supplying to those kind of florists. The other thing is, why does any of this matter? Why does it matter that we know what our top 5 flowers in sales were? So I was actually having a conversation with a friend of mine who's a flower farmer in Arizona, and we were talking about about being business savvy and different things. And I have spoken to a couple of flower farmers in the last week or two that just don't seem to really have a handle on what's going on in their business, and they're just thrown in so many directions. And they are very overwhelmed. They've told that to me. Like, they're very overwhelmed. They're not getting a lot of traction in sales in any direction. So I just think it's important, if you know your numbers, then you can know where to go. You can know where to lean into. You can know what's selling and what's not selling. So when I was in the military, we would track what matters. And so we tracked all these different metrics, because if you don't know the metrics, you can't make strategic decisions about mission planning and how to execute the mission. Like, I was a nurse, so whether that's what supplies that we need to stock based on all this information, or literally how we're going to get our troops downrange into the battlefield. So you've got to know how to track your data and what the data is, so you can know where to go and have a clear picture of how to move forward. So that's why I think it's really important. I also think these videos are super fun to create, because it also helps me dive deeper into the numbers, and it's just fun to share and hear what other people's numbers are also. Let's just jump right in. So I'm actually going to start with an honorable mention. So it's the top 5, but I'm actually starting with number 6, and there's a reason for that. So we're going to start at the bottom and work our way up. So you're going to have to wait for number 1. Gonna have to hang in there. This was just under 5% of my total sales, and this was dahlias. So I actually do not grow a lot of dahlias. I grew 300 dahlias this season. I have a whole dahlia story, which that's going to be my next video, is going to be about dahlias. So watch out for that coming very soon. I only planted 300 dahlias in 2025, and I grew basically 3 varieties with a couple of another variety that another flower farmer gave me. I'm kind of trying to figure out if I really even want to grow even a very small amount of dahlias, but they were number 6 in my total overall sales. It's interesting that they brought in that much revenue. Obviously, it's revenue, not stem count, right? And dahlias sell for a lot of money. So, okay, number 5. Are you ready? Hydrangeas were number 5, hydrangeas. So this is all my hydrangeas combined together. And this made for about 5% of my sales, just a little over 5% of my sales. So the dahlias were just under 5%. These are just over 5%. And the cool thing about this is I only have not very many mature hydrangeas. I have 3 mature limelight hydrangeas. I have about 6 quickfire hydrangeas that are mature. By mature, I mean like they're like 7 years old. And then I have 16 Invincible Ruby Spirits, which are like 3 or 4 years old. So they're mature also, like really producing a lot of stems. That is not that many hydrangeas. I mean, we're talking like 25 plants here produced the number 5 in sales of my farm. And the other exciting thing is that I actually have over 100 hydrangeas planted that I planted in August of 2024. I did a whole video about that, the 900 shrubs I added to my farm in 2024. So you can check that out. But hydrangeas are on the list. And that's exciting to me because there was demand for more. I pretty much sold all of my hydrangeas. I was selling out of them. I had people wanting them. And so it's exciting to me that I have 100 more in the works coming for future sales. So that's exciting. They also have a high price point per stem, remember? So this is my just over 5% of sales, my number 5 in sales. I have 2 different price points, but they're selling for a significant amount per stem. This isn't, they're not $1 a stem. They're like between $1.75 and $2.50 a stem. And actually, if you want to know about hydrangeas, I have a whole video about just hydrangeas and the varieties I grow and how I harvest them. And that's going to be a theme in this video. I actually have a video about every single one of these flowers. So we can just like keep on rolling here and you can go deeper into every single one of these flowers, which I didn't plan it that way, but that's just how it ended up at the end of the season here. Okay, moving on to number 4. Number 4 is peonies. This accounts for about 6% of my sales. It came just under number 3, which we'll get to. So this was peonies. I only have 200 mature plants. I have a whole nother over 100 that are going to come into production next year that are going to be in their 3rd year this coming spring of 26. So I don't even have all of my peonies in production. Now, the interesting thing is I completely sold out of my white peonies, like my Duchess de Numenors. I had a lot of demand for white and I did not nearly have enough. And coral charms. You can never have enough coral charms, but they're, kind of tricky to grow, or I think they are. I had a lot of Sarah Bernhardts. I had a lot of Sarah Bernhardts that didn't sell, I should say. Or I had some Sarah Bernhardts that didn't sell. Again, this is a high dollar flower, so just keep that in mind. That was the peonies. Also, if you want to know more about peonies, I have several videos about peonies, actually. I just did one about planting peonies. Number 3, we're just moving right along here, folks. Number 3 was Cosmos. So Cosmos and peonies were just about $100 apart in sales. So Cosmos just beat out peonies for number 3. A little over 6% of my sales were Cosmos. However, unlike all the other flowers that I've talked about thus far, Cosmos are not an expensive flower, right? So I sold a lot of volume of Cosmos to get it to be for number 3 in sales. So that's pretty cool. I only grow 2 very specific intentional varieties of Cosmos. I grew Apricota and Afternoon White. I love them both. And guess what? I have a video all about the Cosmos and how I grow it and why I love it. But I really do love Cosmos. So next year I would like to add more Cosmos. I sold most of my Cosmos. There was a couple times I had some flushing, particularly at the Apricota, and I didn't sell every single stem of them. But then the next week I didn't have enough. So it's a little bit, you got to kind of figure out your timing and successions. But when you have overlapping successions, sometimes it is difficult to, not have an abundance. So that's Cosmos. I will definitely be growing it next year. I love Cosmos. Okay, number 2, we're moving right along. Number 2 is sunflowers. I love sunflowers, but sunflowers have been my number 1 for the last, I think, 3 years. So they were number 2 this year. They got dethroned by... You'll have to find out. So they're previously been my number 1 seller. I only grow for the Pro Cut variety. I grow about 750 of them for 18 weeks in succession. Every week I plant them. My kids help me with the planting and we kind of have it dialed in. Now I have it dialed in, but just know that there is always crop loss. So, I lost whole trees in August because, I didn't get them watered right or different things. So just know it's not perfect. I make mistakes. I kill lots of plants. So don't feel like, don't feel like you're alone in killing plants. If you want to know how I plant them and more about them, guess what? I have a video all about sunflower. I also have a video about paper pot transplanting, which is how I plant my sunflowers and my Cosmos and zinnias and marigolds. So if you want to know about paper pot transplanting and how I plant my sunflowers, you can check that out too. It's really cool. And it definitely is a time saver, saves your back, and will make you more profitable if you're saving time and really growing at a high, level, trying to plant that many of them. I definitely had very high demand for sunflowers. I was actually kind of surprised. I have changed and dialed in my exactly what I grow with sunflowers. As far as like the varieties that I grow pro cuts, but I've grown different colors within the pro cut series. And this year, the pro cut white light was a really good seller. And I didn't really think it would sell through fall, but I didn't actually grow it all the way through fall, but everybody wanted it all the way through fall. And the Pro Cut Gold, which I've always grown the Pro Cut Gold, but man, people were just like kind of crazy for it this year, which was unusual. I wasn't really anticipating that. And so I was at the end of the season, I was just selling out of all the ones that I had. They were also really popular in the collective in Chicago as well. So interesting. There's definitely a very good demand for it. Before I reveal my number one flower, I want you to take a guess in the comments as to what the number one flower is. Okay, did you guess? Dun 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 dun! My number one flower for the 2025 flower season was ranunculus. I know you're all shocked, but I have literally never grown ranunculus before. Ranunculus is very difficult to grow in Michigan without some kind of cover, like a high tunnel or even low tunnel. So I have never grown it before 2024. Like I said, I got my high tunnel in August of 2024, and I planted like 2,500 of them last winter in my high tunnel. I kind of freaked out a little bit, like, oh dear, is this really a good idea? Like, can I really sell this many? And it's an expensive crop. It's a high risk crop. There's a lot of implements that go into it. But you know what? That is just a testament to when you have customers and you do your research and you've created a demand and you have a name for yourself and you have a reputation. I sold every single ranunculus that I had. And I literally mean every single one. So it was pretty cool. It was over 15% of my farm sales. So it was not just number one, it was number one by a lot. It wasn't quite double my sunflower sales, but almost. There's things I'm going to do next year, which if you want to know about this, I have a video called The Real Numbers, how I sold $6,180 worth of ranunculus. That's the exact number of sales I made from it. It was just really exciting to me. The ranunculus really swept me off my feet. They were really amazing. It makes me want to get another high tunnel so I can grow more ranunculus, but we'll see. There were definitely some challenges. You can check out that video for more details, but I had some crop loss. I definitely need to get beneficial insects in my tunnel earlier. I had some loss due to some water issues in the front of my tunnel and different things like that. Really, the ranunculus stole the show. They were just so amazing. I literally have hardly ever, I've seen ranunculus in flower shops, but I've never been up close and personal with so many ranunculus, and they are just incredible flowers. They were so beautiful. It was definitely worth the wait. Like, it was a long process. I got an NRCS grant for my tunnel. I waited kind of a long time so I could get a really high quality tunnel, and I got the grant and I put extra money toward it to make it a really good tunnel, and it really paid off this year. So ranunculus are officially the rookie of the year. They are the MVP of 2025, new to the tunnel, new to the production, and they just really came out swinging, beating sunflowers by almost double. That's the kind of performance that really makes you think, okay, these are the numbers. There was this incredible, insatiable demand for ranunculus. And not only was there a demand, but there was also these relationships that I've created with florists over the last 5 years that made it possible for me to sell the volume. If you have the flowers and you don't have a market for them, there's no point, right? You've got to be able to sell your flowers. So if you want my tips for selling flowers to florists, I do have a free download that's called Tips for Selling Flowers to Florists. So you can check that out in the description. So these kinds of things, like going through this data, just really makes me excited for 2026. And right now, currently today, my ranunculus for 2026 are down in the basement sprouting on heat mats. I have more to come for 2026, and there's more revenue potential for the ranunculus as well. I actually found out, I really didn't intentionally do this, but I actually charged less for my ranunculus than any other flower farmer that I'm aware of. So that was kind of mistake or just like wasn't intentional, and I'd already set out my pricing, so I didn't want to change it. So I'm definitely going to be increasing the price of my ranunculus, which will increase my profit also on it. That is the summary of the top flowers sold for my West Michigan flower farm in 2025. Again, there's lots of linked videos, so don't get lost. I'll try and link them all below. So understand your analytics so you can have a profitable flower farm in 2026. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, check out that ranunculus video. It's really pretty exciting. So here's to your success.